Most people spend their entire lives believing every thought that enters their mind. And that becomes exhausting, because the mind never stops talking. One moment it says, "You are not enough." The next, "Something bad is going to happen." Then, "What if they judge you? What if you fail? What if you lose everything?" Thoughts appear endlessly: fear, doubt, comparison, regret, anxiety. And slowly, people begin confusing thoughts with truth. But Buddhism teaches something radically freeing. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are experiences appearing in awareness, temporary, changing, unstable. Yet many people build entire identities around mental noise. Tonight, I want to explore overthinking, anxiety, and the restless mind through Buddhist philosophy, mindfulness, and modern psychology. Because maybe peace does not come from controlling every thought. Maybe peace begins the moment you stop believing every thought automatically. Maybe you know this feeling, lying awake replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios constantly, thinking so much that your mind feels physically tired, wanting rest but feeling trapped inside mental noise. Overthinking can feel endless. One thought creates another, then another, then another, and eventually the mind becomes crowded with imagined problems. Psychology explains this as cognitive rumination, the repetitive cycle of analyzing thoughts trying to create certainty or emotional relief. But often, overthinking does not solve suffering, it multiplies it. Buddhism recognized this pattern thousands of years ago. The untrained mind continuously chases thought after thought unconsciously. Fear creates stories, ego creates stories, anxiety creates stories, and people begin living inside mental narratives instead of reality itself, which is why so many people feel disconnected from the present moment. But what if thoughts are not commands? What if they are simply mental events passing through awareness? This changes everything, because now you no longer need to fight every thought. You no longer need to panic every time fear appears internally. Buddhism teaches mindfulness not to silence the mind completely, but to observe it clearly. Imagine sitting beside a river, watching leaves float past. Each leaf is a thought. Some are peaceful, some are frightening, some are painful. But awareness remains separate from the leaves themselves. Modern psychology supports this deeply. Therapies like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy teach people to observe thoughts without immediately identifying with them. Instead of "this thought is true," awareness says "this is a thought appearing." That small shift creates enormous emotional freedom. Here is the painful gap many people live inside. They want peace while constantly feeding mental chaos. The mind predicts danger constantly, replays embarrassment constantly, compares constantly, criticizes constantly. And because people believe every thought automatically, the nervous system remains exhausted. Buddhism teaches that suffering increases when awareness becomes trapped inside thought completely. Most people are not observing their thoughts, they are drowning inside them. The mind says you will fail, and the body reacts with anxiety immediately. The mind says nobody truly cares about you, and loneliness appears immediately. The mind says you are falling behind, and shame appears immediately. But thoughts are not always objective truth. Sometimes they are fear wearing the mask of logic. Sometimes they are old conditioning repeating itself. Sometimes they are anxiety trying to create certainty through overanalysis. And realizing this changes your relationship with the mind entirely. Something powerful begins happening when you stop identifying with every thought. The mind becomes quieter internally, not because thoughts disappear completely, but because they stop controlling you automatically. Fear still appears sometimes. Doubt still appears sometimes. Anxiety still appears sometimes. But now awareness notices them instead of becoming consumed by them. Buddhism teaches awareness itself is peaceful. Thoughts move, emotions move, experiences move, but awareness remains. And slowly, the mind loses some of its power to frighten you. You stop needing every thought to be solved immediately. You stop treating mental noise as identity. You begin understanding just because a thought appears does not mean it deserves belief. There's a Buddhist story about a man standing beside a clear pond. Every time leaves fall into the water, he panics and jumps in, trying to remove them immediately. But his struggle only disturbs the water further. Human beings do this mentally. A fearful thought appears, and immediately the mind reacts. Anxious thought, panic. Shameful thought, resistance. Uncomfortable thought, more overthinking. Psychology explains this through cognitive fusion, the tendency to become completely entangled with thoughts emotionally. Mindfulness creates cognitive distance. Instead of "I am anxious," awareness notices anxiety is appearing. Instead of "I am broken," awareness notices a painful thought is appearing. That shift weakens identification with mental suffering. Buddhism teaches thoughts are clouds, awareness is the sky. Clouds move constantly, but awareness remains. Maybe the goal is not to eliminate thinking completely. Human beings naturally think. The suffering begins when the mind never stops clinging to thought. Because eventually, overthinking becomes a form of emotional imprisonment. The mind often believes overthinking creates protection. If I predict every possible problem, maybe I can avoid pain. But usually the opposite happens. Anxiety increases, exhaustion increases, presence disappears. Psychology explains that the brain evolved to scan for threats constantly. Survival depended on noticing danger quickly. But in modern life, many threats are psychological instead of physical. Rejection, failure, embarrassment, uncertainty. So the mind continuously imagines future problems, trying to prepare itself emotionally. Buddhism recognized this suffering clearly. The restless mind creates endless attachment to imagined futures. Yet life itself is only unfolding now, which means many people spend their lives emotionally reacting to futures that never actually arrive. One reason people fear silence is because silence reveals the mind clearly. No distraction, no stimulation, just awareness meeting thought directly. And for many people, that feels uncomfortable, because unresolved fear becomes louder internally. This is why modern life is filled with constant stimulation: music, notifications, scrolling, endless distraction. The mind avoids stillness because stillness reveals attachment and emotional pain. But Buddhism treats silence differently. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is observation, clarity, presence. And slowly, when you stop running from stillness, the mind begins settling naturally. Thoughts almost always pull attention away from the present, into the past, into the future, into imagined scenarios. But peace is never experienced in imagination. Peace is experienced now. Buddhism continuously returns awareness to simple presence: breathing, listening, walking, existing, because the present moment interrupts psychological suffering. Right now, in this exact moment, many of the problems created by thought are not actually happening. They are mental projections, and awareness notices that clearly. This breath, this room, this sound, life happening directly instead of mentally. Maybe the mind feels so heavy because people were never taught how to observe thought without becoming trapped inside it. They believe every fear, every insecurity, every anxious prediction, every self-critical voice. But Buddhism reminds us, thoughts are temporary. They rise, they pass, they change constantly. And perhaps freedom begins the moment you stop building your identity around mental noise. You are not every fearful thought, not every anxious prediction, not every memory, not every story the mind creates. Beneath all the movement of thought, awareness remains still, quiet, present, and maybe peace begins there. If this conversation resonated with you, tell us in the comments. What thought pattern are you learning to stop believing automatically? And how would your life change if you no longer treated every thought as truth?